Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Chris Curtis. What's up, man?
How you doing today?
I'm doing great, bro. So, a lot of times I'm interviewing people from the East Coast, from the Midwest. It hasn't been a lot of people from California. I think one or two. So I'm gonna visit California again with you, man. So you want to tell the people where you were born and raised?
I was born in California, in the city of Orange, which is in Orange County. Um, it's a nice area for the most part, but once you start going down west in Orange County, you start getting into the bad parts. But I grew up in a pretty good family until the age of about 11 or 12 when my parents got divorced.
Yeah.
And that's when a lot of issues started happening. So I didn't know at the time what was going on. I was too young, but I quickly found out soon what was happening. Um, After that, my parents got divorced. I went to live with my dad, and he started me and my best friend on cocaine. I was like 13 years old at the time.
Was it like a party house that?
Yeah, it
So
was my
once you
dad. Yeah, my dad's roommate was, Italian guy selling cocaine in this is in the 80s. It's like 1984, 1985. And From there, it was drugs. That was it. That was I was getting lines for doing the dishes, for allowance, for school, for Christmas, cartons of cigarettes
what?
for Christmas, whatever, and there was a bunch of people living in the house, and me being a kid, I'm thinking, oh, this is cool. You know what I mean? My dad's
Yeah,
cool.
there's
This
there's
is
like
all
no
great.
boundaries. There's like
Yeah,
no
well,
boundaries, right?
yeah, this is great. My dad's cool. All my friends were coming over. We were all using drugs, thinking we were all cool, and quickly I started getting in trouble. Not even a year later, I ended up in juvenile hall. Uh, Me and a couple of my friends got kicked out of a Saturday work study, and we broke into the cafeteria and destroyed it. You know, Threw the piano off the stage, broke all their trophies. And we went to juvenile hall for that. And that escalated. From there, it's like, when you're a kid, you don't really understand consequences. So,
How was your dad? Was your dad supporting you at this time? What would he say when
well,
you would get in trouble?
the only thing he was mad about, really, from what now that I remember, I wrote it in the book. The only thing he was pissed off is I could have brought the cops to the house and got everybody in trouble.
Yeah, that you got caught, basically,
Got
right?
caught and could have brought the cops to the house because my dad's roommate, he was a major coke dealer in Orange County. Like, he was a lot of it, weed, whatever. But it was like one of them things where the way I looked at it at the time was, how can you tell me not to get in trouble when you're over here doing, this shit, But, quickly, I was hanging around with older kids. We'd go to Regal Lanes, the bowling alley. I would hang out with all the kids, older kids there. And that's pretty much what it was, drinking beers, doing cocaine. Didn't even do schoolwork anymore. I just didn't do it. And that was just something. I had ADHD too, really bad as a kid. So the cocaine didn't help one bit in my life.
Your first
And
time getting locked up, what was the first sentence you got and what was it for?
the first, like, you're talking like what, juvenile hall or prison?
Yeah, well, like so juvenile hall. Say you get
Juvenile hall.
arrested, you get a bunch, right? You get a bunch and
The
then you
first time I
go,
got
right?
the first time I got arrested in juvenile hall was for vandalizing the school. We were there, in juvenile hall overnight. Dad came and got us. We was on probation. Um,
Yeah.
so we went through the probation, thing, and it was, like one of them things where you got to go see a probation officer, like, once a month or whatever. My dad would take me. The funny thing is, I remember going to the probation department. My dad used to carry this little cocaine vial. Back in the 80s, they had the little cocaine vials where, and he would like tap it on the steering wheel before we got to the fucking thing and, give me a little bit. You know what I mean? To this day, I remember like weird shit like
Like
that. Like,
right before you went to
yeah, right
probation?
before we went. Yeah. And you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. It's just, I think back at it now and I'm just like, now that I know and I understand rehabilitation and I understand like what it does to people, he was sick too, he was obviously
Yeah.
had issues. Whatever it was going on. I mean, it's hard for me to, I had resentments against him my whole life, and that led me to not change because I never took responsibility. I always blamed all my problems on everybody else, So,
A lot of people do that, man.
and until I, fully came to like, I'm responsible. There came a point in my life where I became I knew right from wrong and I continued to do bad, and there's nobody to blame but myself, I
Where was
continued.
your mom? Where was your mom during all this?
Well, we'd go back and forth, my dad wouldn't pay child support. So my mom, and she refused to go on welfare. So she could never keep a place long enough to have us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A couple years later, my dad got arrested. They raided the house. And then we went with my mom again for a while. Then I went back with my dad, and his girlfriend. And that's when, it just, even got a little bit different, So once he got busted, he didn't know where to get it anymore. So, I was like maybe 15 at the time, 16 years old. And so I would have to go to like Santa Ana to get it for him, like a gang infested part of Orange County. You're not familiar with Orange County or West Coast or anything, but Santa Ana's like LA. I could just put it, bad parts of LA. Santa Ana's pretty bad. So he had to go.
Just to clarify, I have been to California one time. I've been to San Diego and I went to LA for a couple days. And it was around Halloween, but we were just, partying. I was 21 years old at the time.
Yeah.
But so I don't really know the culture out there. I know it's a lot different. People are different. So you say you move back in with him, right? And he needs you to go buy it for him. But so how much is he having you buy? How much? Like how much at a time?
It wouldn't be much. It'd be like, maybe a gram or whatever. But it came to the point where, like on Friday nights when he got home, I remember this one time, my buddies would come to pick me up, right? I'd be like ready to go, and he'd be like, "Hey, can you go to Santa Ana and give me some Coke?" I'm like, "Hey, my friends are here. I got to go, man." Like, and he's like, "Yeah, whatever." So I'd be taking off, and then he would yell from the balcony, like, "Hey, get your ass back in here. You're on restriction. You didn't take the trash out." So, I didn't even realize it till years later, like, when I was sitting in a prison cell years later, when I really thought about the situation, that he actually put me on restriction for not getting him Coke because the trash can was only like a quarter way full. Why would you take it out? You know what I mean? Like, it's weird the things that come up in your mind. Like he actually, it was he actually did that, but it's just, it just went on. And then finally I kind of ran away and just kind of went with my brother. And then we were using Coke with my brother and it just went on. And then, I went to, juvenile hall again for cash and stolen checks. So I did like 60 days in YGC. And then I was on probation. And then I moved to Anaheim. This was probably around 1989. I moved to Anaheim, which is, it's a tougher area than the city of Orange for sure. It starts getting a lot of gangs in the area. And then I started doing methamphetamine. And
yeah, that's big out there, right? It's really big.
And that's when everything, my mom was just sick of the drugs. She was sick of me. She couldn't take it no more. Her boyfriend didn't want me around. And pretty much I just ended up on the streets with gangs, with different types of gangs, and then that's where it just spiraled out of control. By the time I turned 24 years old, I was in prison for shooting two people, in a high-speed chase. I got in a high-speed chase after the shooting and hit a crossing guard on my motorcycle, clipped him. And luckily,
crossing guard? Holy shit.
I clipped the crossing guard, doing like 90 miles an hour. I didn't really hit him. I kind of just nicked him on the shoulder. And, when I tried to slow down and then I crashed, and then
how did the shooting transpire? Like, what was the reason behind it and what happened?
Okay, so I started getting like really started like I got bullied a lot when I first started running the streets. Like it's kind of hard to explain. Like that's the way I felt, anyways. And then after a while, I just got sick of it. You
What, by
know,
other people out in the
yeah,
street?
just like other like tougher kids that were just I wasn't so tough when I first started running the streets. I was just like I just did drugs. But on the street you're either gonna become tough or you're just not gonna make it. You got one choice really. You came from the same place, so you understand where if you want to have anything, you're gonna have to become tough, or it's just not gonna work. And then I started running around with some people, and they started like schooling me and stuff. And ultimately, next thing you know, I'm carrying a gun, you know, and I'm just like running around everywhere now. And certain a lot of different stuff started happening with other people. Like I shot at a guy once, this one guy, and it was this guy's friends that in the end that ended up shooting. And
What kind of gun are you carrying around with you?
well, I used to have all sorts of guns, Tech Nines, whatever, like 22s, 45s, whatever I can get.
Are they stolen? Are they
Oh
like
yeah,
people getting
yeah,
them from?
they're stolen. Yeah, of course they're
Yeah.
stolen. And then so what happened was I was on the phone with my buddy, and their friend got killed in a high speed chase with the cops. So I was talking to this girl on the phone. I was talking to my buddy in prison on the phone, and this girl was there. And me and my buddy started laughing about it because we didn't really get along with the people.
Yeah.
So she went and told all their friends, and now they're calling my friends, saying, "Hey, we're gonna fucking get Chris." And so it was like one of them things. It was kind of like just waiting for something to happen. I've already shot at them, their friends before a couple times. It's not like they know I carry a gun. I'm shooting at people. I'm not, whatever. I just like, come on. So I ended up running into these guys at an apartment complex, and I didn't know it was them till later. But I was with this other girl, and I come up to the apartment. She goes upstairs to do something. I'm just waiting in the car, and there's a bunch of guys standing out front. And I kind of noticed them, but I didn't know who they were. But I had a gun, so I didn't care. I'm like, whatever. And then the girl tells me to come up in the apartment. So I go up inside the apartment. I'm sitting on the couch, and these guys come inside. And now I remember who they are. All these dudes' friends. And they're looking at me, and we're looking back and forth or whatever, and they split. So I told the girl, because I didn't really know her, I'm like, hey, we're leaving. Like, let's get out of here. And the guy that lived at the apartment was like, hey, these guys are waiting for you out here. I go, look, man. I go, you got kids here. I go, I don't want to cause no problems here, but I'm leaving before they go and get more friends or what. I don't know what they're doing. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And I tell the girl, I said, hey, get in the car. These guys ain't gonna touch you. Just get in the car, and I'll meet you there. So we get to the bottom of the stairs. She gets in the car, and the guys are just standing around. I got my hand in my pocket because I always got my gun loaded. I'm not carrying it around, unloaded or whatever. And they're just looking at me. Don't say nothing. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I go and I get in the car, and I shut the door, and they rush the car. And they're like trying to hit me through the window. They start opening the door, so I just shot them. I shot two of them out of, I don't know how many were there, but. And then I get out of the car because the girl's flipping out that I'm with. She stalled the car. I told her, look, I'm going to drive, get out of the car.
When you shoot, do the guys fall? Do you see them
Well, yeah.
fall?
So, yeah, they scatter fast.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how many guys I shot till later, but I know one guy was on the ground, and I turned him over and I said, dude, you guys know I carry a gun. What the fuck's wrong with you? Like, you fucking
You
idiot.
said that to him?
Yeah, dude, what's fucking, you guys know I carry a gun. Why, you know what I mean? You fucking dumb. Because it's like, fuck, come on, man.
Did he say anything back to you?
He didn't say anything. He was just looking at me like, and I'm like, yeah.
Wow.
So I tell the girl to get out of the car, and I get in the car and we split. And I tell the girl to go paint your car. Like, we're going to go to this dude's house, paint your car. The cops are going to be looking for this car. So you got to paint it right away. Not even, 20 minutes later, I get a page, and I answer the page. It's the Anaheim Police Department. And they're like, hey, man, is this Chris? I go, yeah. hey, Chris Curtis. I go, yeah. He goes, it's the Anaheim Police Department. I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, don't you think you should come turn yourself in? I'm like, for what, you know? And they're like, come on, you know for what, man? I'm like, yeah, I'll be right there. And I hung
You
up
want
the
to see
phone.
what they have, right? You're trying to see what they
Yeah, I'm like,
got.
yeah, I'll be right there. I just never called him back. So from then on, they were like raiding houses looking for me. And then about 2 months later, they caught up with me. Unmarked cars surrounded me and shit. And I was on my motorcycle and I just high speed chase, like in Anaheim by Disneyland.
So after the shooting, did you get rid of that gun?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, of course. Yeah. So the dudes didn't die. I ended up shooting two guys. One guy got shot in the back, and they were like, in the county jail, they were crying about that. Like, well, if you're shooting a gun and somebody turns, of course they're going to get shot in the back. You know what I mean? Like they were just all stupid shit. But now that I look back at it, it's all funny, but it's not funny. I mean, I feel bad for whatever happened. Don't get me wrong, but it's just one of them things where when you're a kid and all that stuff that you used to think was.
It's all right. You can answer that or whatever you need to do. You there?
Are you back?
Yeah.
All that stuff that you thought, the gangs, the drugs, the lifestyle, you think it's like your life. You think that, it's these people care about you, and now that I look back at it, it's just disgusting to even think that I was even part of it. You know what I'm saying?
So the first shooting, right? What do they consider that? Is that your first strike, your second
Well,
strike?
since I shot in the state of California, you're only supposed to get one strike for one felony, one violent felony or whatever. But if you hurt somebody, if you cause great bodily harm, that's a strike for, each person. So I shot two people, so I got 2 strikes for that. They gave me 6 years.
There, you're walking on thin ice. You're like,
Right
you got
there, I'm
2
done.
strikes.
Yeah. I'm surprised I even made it out of prison because you get struck out in prison. So in California, they were striking people out in prison.
How old were you at this point? How old are you?
24 years old. So I was 24 years old and I was on my way to prison. And thinking that I'm never going to make it through, like I'm going to get struck out in prison, luckily I had some older guys that looked out for me and I made it out without getting struck out. You know what I mean? Or without
they
getting
told
killed or whatever.
you the ropes and things like that, and
Yeah.
what to do
Yeah.
and what not to do.
Yeah. And then, so I got 2 strikes for one case. I got out. I thought I was never coming back. I had this thing like, yeah, I'm never coming back. I'll be fine out there, And I did good for about a month or 2. And then I started hanging around all my old friends. And they were all using and stuff like that, and then next thing you know, I'm selling drugs. I'm selling drugs again. And I got a dirty test and I was off, like come and get me. You know what I mean? And about 8 months later, after I got out, I got in trouble for selling drugs, another gun, a high-speed chase, like 11 counts of receiving stolen property, and got 20 to life. They struck me out.
So you're out on probation or parole or whatever from the other case.
Yeah.
And you're catching all these other cases.
Yeah, they wanted to give me 107 years,
Wow.
At that time, each felony is a life sentence, But I pled guilty trying to get the Romero Act, which would have dropped a strike. They call it striking a strike. And I would have got like 10 years or whatever, but that didn't happen. But the judge was like, since you didn't make us go through this trial, I'm just going to give you 28 to life. And at that time in 2002, 28 to life is like life without in California. You're not getting out. They're not. People are going to board all the time. They're like, yeah, it's not happening. It's not happening. But so when I got my life sentence, I thought that was it, and it was a trip at first, because, I knew the consequences. I knew if I got in trouble, even for like a half gram of meth, anything. That's a life sentence in California at that time. You're going to prison forever. That's how it was.
Yeah, or even if you're with a criminal who has something on them, you're screwed.
Yeah, I know a guy right now that's doing, he's still in 26 years, for
Wow.
a half gram of meth. And, now he's got to go through the board to get out like I did, but it's tough, man. If you're not prepared to go talk to these people, if you don't educate yourself, you're not going to get found suitable. Like you have to write an insight paper, you have to write parole plans, you have to do all these groups, you know, um, about 10 years through my sentence, I started doing stuff. I started, I don't want to just sit around anymore. Just even if I'm never going to get out, I got a vocation in office services, janitorial, did a electrical vocation, which was the best thing I ever did because now I'm an electrician, and you know what I mean. And my
It
license is
gave you
good.
like structure and something to
Yeah,
do when you
yeah.
got
Even
out,
though
right?
I was still using drugs, but I was going to school. I was still, running around doing whatever. But I just didn't want to just sit around and not do nothing. And then I
Yeah.
always thought in the back of my mind, what if they do change the law? Because they always talked about it. I want to be ready. Even if they do, I want to be ready. And then in like 2015, I finally got sober. Like I woke up in Ad Seg one day and I just like, I don't want to do this no more. It was over drugs, and I told myself, the next prison I get to, I'm going to seek out all these self-help guys and I'm going to do this. I'm going to change. And they
I
still weren't
I
letting people
know.
out at
I,
the time.
I know how it is trying to get sober in prison, man.
Yeah. And they still
It's
weren't letting
hard.
people out. They still weren't letting people out at the time. It was like one of them things. And then I slowly just started, through these groups and stuff and through all these older lifers, that, were going through the programs. And, I learned a lot. I learned a lot through CGA, which is Criminal Gangs Anonymous. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's
No.
a group they have out here. It's about the lifestyle of addiction. Like, carrying a gun and running the streets is more addicting than using drugs. In other words, just having that, like, always running around and committing crimes. It's like an escalation factor. It starts off low and then it gets high and then you feed off of it,
Yeah.
and then it evolves to worse things. And then it just becomes like an everyday thing where you like, I guess like for me, like I could just shoot at anybody and it's like nothing, like
And not
I
even
wouldn't,
have feelings about it or
I wouldn't,
anything, right?
they'd be like, it just wouldn't, it would be like, like second nature, like, and it was crazy because I never thought I'd be like that. But I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about, for instance, from my dad. I blamed him for everything. I blamed everybody for everything except myself. I had numerous chances to change. I had numerous people that wanted to help me, but I just didn't want the help, like I wasn't ready. And I could say this, once you lose your life, for me anyways, everybody's different. But once you lose your life, like literally, and you get it back, even it just changes you, bro. It changes your outlook on everything. It I'm very grateful and fortunate to even be out of prison, you know. And there's a lot of people like myself that are out now that have changed their lives through these groups in prison. That California is the rehabilitation in prison is great if you want to do it. If you don't want to do it, if you want to stab people and use drugs and be a dumbass, it's there. But if you want to change, you can do it. So and the programs that they have for people getting out of prison now are even better. There's so much support. There's so many people out there, like, groups of people like ARC or whatever, that help people, the
One,
Anti-Recidivism Coalition,
yeah, like one thing is taking accountability for your actions.
Yes,
If you don't do that, they won't even let you out, right?
exactly. So that's exactly the thing. So when they told me I was going to board, it was like September. They told me I was going to board in September 9th, something like that, in 2001. So, and they tell you 6 months before. So at that time, I just completed my AA degree. I just completed my entrepreneurship for business. And I had my electrical vocation. I had tons of groups. I was in groups all the time. I had hours and hours of that stuff. And I made a parole packet. You know, insight paper, which is the biggest thing. You got to have insight. They want to know what escalated, why you became who you were when you committed the crime and who you are now. You know, it's like, I'll give you an example. This is the kind of questions they ask you. So about the shooting, they asked me about the shooting. I told them, you know, like, they go, so what happened at the shooting? I go, well, you know, I was running around with gangs, you know, and we were all criminals. We didn't care about nobody. We only cared about ourselves and money or whatever. And ultimately, in the end, I ended up shooting 2 people. You know, in doing so, I caused physical harm to this guy, mentally, physically, financially, to their families. Not only that, the first responders had to deal with it, so they're impacted by it. The community's impacted by it, and I understand that now. I understand that my actions are more than just, you know, it creates numerous victims, you know, and I did it multiple times. So, you know, they want to know if you understand that. You got to be able to explain that, who you were then and who you are now, about everything they ask about, you know, like they asked about my dad. So I understand that, you know, I blame my problems on my dad and everybody else. But, you know, there came a point in my life where I knew right from wrong, and I continued to do wrong. And there's no one to blame for myself. I should ask for help, you know, and I didn't. But now I understand that, and I have asked for help, you know, and I've gotten help, and I've changed, you know. And I got found suitable on my initial hearing, which is really hard. Like,
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild
yeah,
that they
on
picked
my
you,
initial,
man.
yeah. So, but I worked you know, I had like 54 flashcards, you know, and with 6 or 7 different things on them. And I had them all memorized, you know, just in case, like little answers or this or that, you know what I mean? Just in case. So when I went to board, I just aced it, you know, and my whole life, I always told myself, well, I can't do this, I can't do that because of ADHD or whatever.
Yeah, you
But it's
put
just
limitations on yourself,
it's
right?
because I just didn't want to, you know, and, you know, now I look back at it now and I just think, you know, it's crazy how we adopt these, you know, character defects growing up, and we just run with them. You know, we don't know how to
It
deal with
is.
them. We don't know what to do. We think, you know, we just have these false perceptions on life, on, you know, the gang life or whatever it is, you know, and we just run with it, you know.
One
But
one big one, man. One big one I notice about people, they're like, "Oh, well, my parent died, or my
yeah,
best friend got killed."
yeah,
Other people's best friends got killed, and they went through it without getting high or going to
yeah,
prison. So what do you mean? Like,
exactly. You know, everybody, like, I would say that 95% of people in prison either live in a single parent family. Their parents are divorced, they live with their dad or their mom or just whatever. Somebody's missing.
yeah,
Very few people, I won't say very few people, but not too many people with good families are in prison. There is, though, don't get me wrong, but a majority of them come from a background, you know, dysfunctional childhood. There's no
yeah.
doubt about it. You know, somewhere or another, there was something there that happened, you know. They didn't know how to deal with it, and you know, they ended up just ruining their lives, you know. But
With all that time you spent in prison, what's some of the crazy things you've seen in there?
well, a lot of stabbings, you know.
Did they make you put in work when you first got there? Like, how did
Yeah,
that go?
you had to do that for the most part. You know what I mean? The lucky thing for me was after I did it the first time, uh, I would had a older homeboy that was the shot caller for the yard, and I moved in with him, and and he kind of like said, "Hey, man, you know, I'm gonna make sure you're fucking just kick back. You're just gonna live with me, and then, you know, whatever, and then get out and this and that, you know."
So you
And
lucked out, basically,
I
right?
lucked out for the most part, you
Yeah.
know. And then I've seen, like, there's a bunch of crazy things I've seen, bro. Like, I've seen dudes stab multiple times, bro, and they don't even do it anymore. Like, it used to be like just one guy doing it. Now it's like a sport, you know. Like, you know, one guy will tackle you, and then 2 guys will just stab you, you know. Like, you know, and if they live, then you're in trouble, you know. It's just like it's disgusting, bro. And for what?
And they
You know what I
and
mean?
they take the weak person and make them a crash
Well,
dummy, right? A lot
whatever.
of
They
times.
just, but yeah, but there's a lot of dudes out there that aren't weak. They just feed off of it. They're never getting out. They're in their perception that they're never getting out. They got life without. So it just becomes their life. And,
Yeah.
luckily I got off those. I didn't only spent about 14 years on a level 4 yard, and luckily went
14.
down to level 3,
It's a long
and
time, man.
yeah, and the crazy part is too, is you just walk around and, I remember, the funny thing is that, that a lot of the times when somebody's going to get stabbed, like they'll have the dude, I just seen it a couple times. It's just, like, they'll have the guy make the knife and then get the knife from him, and the guy will come back and stab that guy, or I've seen that happen before. Like just
So the
crazy.
guy makes the knife. They,
Yeah,
they have the guy.
yeah.
That's like making the guy dig his own hole, man.
I've seen it happen a few
Like,
times, bro. Like I've seen it happen at Salinas Valley a couple times, and it's just like a cutthroat, And in the end, 90% of the people end up in the hat anyways for something or another, because it's like a popularity thing, too. I tried to stay out of most of that stuff
yeah.
because I could just never. I don't think, for me, it just. I don't know. I just tried to stay out of it, most of it. But it's kind of hard when you're in prison, but you just see a lot of crazy shit, and you make it through. Some people make it through without having to do too much, and other dudes just feed off of it. They get stuck on them 180 yards, and that's all it is. It's just, there's like maybe 20 white boys on the whole yard. The rest
That's
is
how it
Mexican and
is. That's
black.
how it is out here too, man.
And then the whites are killing each other. They spend most of the time killing each other, and to the point where it's just like there's really no whites there anymore. And 90% of the time, them same dudes end up in the hat, for whatever. It's just it's nonsense, bro. I don't like talking about prison too much. To me, I could say what I do like to talk about prison now is that it saved my life. In the end, it saved my life.
So how
I
long
never
have you
thought I
been
was.
out? How long have
I've
you
been
been
out
out of prison?
since January 12th.
That's fresh, man.
Yeah,
You're like still wiping the prison
dude. I
juju
mean,
off of you, man. You know?
I bought a couple motorcycles. I have a really good job with a really good company. At first, they were kind of scared of me. They didn't know how to tell me
Yeah.
I need to be more sociable and this and that. And now they love me. I'm one of the hardest workers. They say I'm one of the best electricians they got. They wrote me a bunch of support letters for board because I'm getting off supposedly in January.
That's
But
awesome.
me and my foreman, we're kicking butt, man. We're doing really well.
Let me ask you this, man. If there's a guy out there, right? He's on parole. He's just getting out of prison, just like you. What's the advice that you would give to him on his first steps of freedom? Like what's the advice you would give to that guy?
Well, first of all, don't be afraid to ask for help. There's a lot of people out here offering help now. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Second of all, I would advise him to go to his program, his transitional housing unit or program, whatever, he has to go to, and just relax, man. Make goals, and stick to them. Like my parole plans were, I'm going to get out. I'm definitely not going to get no serious relationships until I get my life together. And I'm going to become an electrician because I went to school for it. There's just no doubt I'm going to do that. I'm going to try to finish my book and make sure I get my book out there to help others. Maybe that will change somebody's life. If it just changes a couple people's lives and they could see that, the outcome of running around as a criminal, you're going to end up in prison. I would say, just make goals and follow them and just relax and just take one day at a time and ask for help. If you need help, ask for it. And there's a bunch of support out there. I don't know what it's like in these other states, but I know in California right now, if you're a lifer and you're getting out, they're going to do everything they can to help you, even the parole department. And that's what shocks me the most, because the parole department used to be just like, they do everything they can to violate you.
Yeah, anything to
Now,
keep you in there,
now
right?
they're
Try
doing
to.
everything they can to help you. Like if you go, hey, I'm using drugs, they'll put you in a program. If you would have told them that in 2002,
Throw your ass right in prison,
you're
right?
going back to Chino to do your
Yeah,
little year violation. They're just the way it is, you know. Um, just make goals, man. You know, get a good support network. Stay away from people that are using. Um, and just, whatever your higher power is, just trust in him that he's going to take care of you. I've had, I've been so fortunate, since I've been out with all my friends that I used to run around with. They're, 90% of them are sober. They run halfway houses or they own businesses, and they've all helped me since I've been out. I go to church, not every Sunday, but a lot of the Sundays I go to church. I got baptized a little while ago. And it's just a great support network out here. I'm lucky to have my family, my friends. I have a really good girlfriend now. She's stable. There's no drama. Um, and my life is great, bro. And that's because I followed my goals, and I just changed, and I'm lucky. A lot of
yeah,
people
man.
don't think it through.
You're showing that it's possible that
It
people
is
can
possible.
have a life sentence, get
Yes.
that changed, get out and be successful at life, and not have to be involved with the bullshit or
Dude,
anything, man.
I'm
Some
still
people get out and they have their foot on a banana peel and their other foot is in prison, you know?
yeah. Well, a lot of people are back in prison before they even get out. You know, they're
Yeah.
not even out yet. They're already talking about how to come back. You know what I mean? I see it all the time. I've seen dudes six or seven different times on the different yards I went to. They'd see him back again, in and out, in and out. I'd just be like,
Yeah.
oh,
You see the same people keep
same
coming
people.
back.
Yeah. Um.
When I started doing programs in prison, I found it hard to stay out of the bullshit in
Yeah.
prison and be and walk the straight and narrow. Did
Well,
you find it hard to do that, man?
like I say this all the time. Like I'm still Chris Curtis. It's still the mentality. It's still there. It's just I understand now that I created a lot of victims. I was wrong for all that, but like I don't know how you feel, but it's still in you, and you
Yeah.
just gotta you keep it at bay. Like you keep it, like I still walk around, I still think stupid shit, like
Sometimes I'm like, fuck it, man. I think in my
like
mind,
like
fuck it,
hey,
man.
like
You know what?
these
Fuck it
dudes, yeah, like
all.
you think about these dudes, they're acting tough or whatever. You're just looking at them like, dude, like you don't even know, I don't know. I struggle with that sometimes. I don't trust people unless I really know them. I really don't trust them. I'm getting better now, but I ran around with a gun for years. And now
Really,
I'm
man.
running.
It
Now I'm
gets
running
hard.
around with nothing. But it's just like you see these kids now, and they're just like they're acting all tough, and they're just like it's just it just bugs me sometimes.
Yeah, but you are a person that younger kids can look up to, and because you've
Yeah,
been there and done that, man.
yeah,
You're a person who had a life sentence and did the things you had to do to get out, and you're maintaining a successful life beyond the prison walls, and that's
exactly,
something that's very
exactly.
noble, man. You know?
Yeah, yeah, it's a good feeling. Like I've heard a couple people say that I'm a role model now, and sometimes I don't know how to take that, but you know, in a sense, it's true. Like if I could do it, anybody could do it. That's the way I look at it. Because I was a freaking mess, bro. You
Are
know
you
what I
gonna do
mean?
a podcast or anything like that, man? What's the plans for your future? I know you got a book in the works, and
Yeah. The book is called Orange County: The Dark Side. Um, it's gonna be done probably in like a month or two. I'm gonna donate 5% of the money to at-risk youth. I don't know which one yet, but definitely gonna do that. I just, like right now, I'm just working, um, and just enjoying my life. I did so many groups in prison. I facilitated them. Um, I'm just kind of like now. I mean, like I try to help people. Like my cousin got into a little bit of trouble. I got him a job, and he relapsed, and we put him back into a rehab, and now he's back out. And the same people gave him a job again. Like, hey, it happens. So now he's
Yeah.
doing great. And I got him hanging around with a lot of my old friends, and he's doing great, bro. So, and then sometimes I see people, and I'll like, I'll help out when I can. I can get them into programs because I know people. My buddy that I was in high desert with, I was talking to him on the phone one day, and I could just tell that something was wrong. He just wasn't, he was going through whatever, but I could tell something was wrong. And I'm like, why don't you just, I'll fly you out here. He's in Sacramento, so it's across the state. I'm like, why
Yeah.
don't you come out here? I'll fly you out here. We'll put you in a program for 90 days. You just relax and get your head together, because he didn't have to go to board to get out. They just let him out. So it's different.
Yeah.
And, and he was with me the whole time going through the, board process, like, and, so we know each other really well, but I knew him in prison. He was, level headed, real good person. And then the way he's talking, I knew something was wrong. So he ended up flying out here. He went to the rehab for a little while, and then he got, and then somebody had some drugs there, and he relapsed and went back and went to another state, and then really crashed. Like, it just really hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Then he like went back to Sacramento. Now he's doing really well, and I love this guy to death, man. And he calls me all the time or texts me all the time and says, dude, you've done everything you said you're going to do, and
Yeah, that's the commendable stuff,
yeah,
man.
he's like, dude, like,
You say you're gonna do it, and you do it, even beyond
yeah,
the
he's like,
walls.
dude, everything that you said that you were going to do in prison, you've done, man, and so it's just, I try to help people when I can, if I can. I got some people out there that are good at, getting people into halfway houses or detoxes or whatever. But mostly right now, I'm with my family, trying to repair what I have left with my daughter. I was gone her whole life. Her mom died in like 2007 or 8 when I was in prison. So
Sorry
she
for
had,
the loss, man. It's
yeah, she had to
terrible.
go live with her. It was a whole terrible situation. What happened? It was like, domestic violence thing. And I kind of blame myself for that too, because I should have been there. You know, um, I should have been there, and I wasn't. I should have been there for my daughter and her, my stepson. I pretty much raised him when he was a kid, but yeah. So it just there's a lot of things that like I get emotional now a lot. I don't know, dude, what's going on. I guess the older I get, I don't know what's happening, but
When you get sober, man,
all
it's
these
different.
feelings,
Life hits you different, bro. You know what I mean?
all these
Like,
feelings and stuff. I had Thanksgiving with the family for the first time in 30 years because even before I went to prison, I wasn't there. I was running the streets, and my one of my cousins at the dinner table said, hey, we just want to say we're all proud of you. You're doing great, and you know, hearing that from her, she's never been to prison. It's just lived a great life. It made me fucking tear up, man.
yeah,
It just, I just can't like. It's like a dream. What's going on for me right now? It's like a
it's
dream.
only gonna get better, man. If you
Yeah.
keep putting in the work, it'll get better and better and
Right now, I'm
better.
just trying to work on my retirement because I was gone long. I'm 51. I just turned 51 in November on Thanksgiving on 24th. So
Happy birthday, man.
yeah, I'm just everything's great, bro. Um, and thank you for this opportunity, as well. I hope that whatever I say here can maybe help somebody.
Yeah, do this to try to show people that they can
Yeah,
do it too. I'm
I can do it,
I'm
man.
I'm getting up there in age, you're older in age. People
Yeah,
can look at us as examples. You can get sober too. You don't have to keep living in the bottomless pit of
yeah.
addiction and prison. In and out. I've been arrested 26 times, man.
I think I've
It
probably
was,
been arrested about in and out for stupid stuff about that many times too, but the serious ones were the ones that just wrecked my life. That
yeah.
shooting, that shooting just wrecked my life. You know, I thought it was all cool and stuff like that, but in the end, it ultimately gave me a life sentence. You know what I
Like
mean?
when they said life, boom, and they hit that gavel, what was going through your mind?
Well, I was just like, at that time, I was just like, fuck, it was terrible, bro. I let my family down, my daughter down, I let everybody down, and myself for that fact. And, once I got to prison, I just, you just go through the days, there's nothing you could do about it, you
Yeah.
know, and, it's on a level 4 yard. I mean, I spent all my time on level 4 yard anyways, my first term, but, you just, it's just you just get in a routine. Your
Fall into
TV,
it.
your workout, your packages, or just whatever. You just go through the days. It
The
just becomes a normal
letters,
thing. It's
commissary, going
life.
to
It's
eat.
just life. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just you just go with it. And then I mean, you go through bad days and stuff like that. And but it's just the way it is. You just find a way to get through it. You have to. There's no other choice. That's it.
Any famous people you run across in prison?
Um, fuck. There was a football player. I can't. He played for the New England Patriots. I can't remember his name. I don't know if he was really famous, but I was on none of them yards. They got certain yards where they send those people, like
Oh, yeah, like a closed security type thing.
whatever. They're on lower levels. They don't send them to like the level 4 yards.
Yeah.
Um, I seen Charles Manson one time in shackles when I was in the shoe in the '90s. Uh, I've seen Charles Manson walk by once. You know what I mean? When we're on shackles, they shackle you up. You know what I mean?
Was he all
But
scrawny looking, right? He was all
yeah, just
scrawny
weird.
looking. You're like, what? That's Charles Manson?
Yeah, I was in corporate, but yeah, I didn't really see too many famous people because I wasn't on those yards. But they're like Robert Downey Jr. He was in prison. I don't know what yard he was on. I think he was on like a level 2 yard though.
Yeah.
Like I forget, but I didn't make it to a level 2 yard for a long time. And then I didn't last long. I got in trouble with drugs and was right back to level 3.
Lyle
But
Menendez, man, I interviewed
yeah,
him.
yeah. So I forget he was on. I forget what yard he was on, but I never ran into him either. You interviewed
He's
him?
in, yeah, he's in San Diego.
Okay,
He
so he's in
called.
Donovan.
Yeah,
He's in Donovan.
Donovan, R.J. Donovan. Yep.
Yeah, okay, Donovan. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I just never ran into.
He called me around March,
March.
and I was supposed to air the interview, but his wife wouldn't answer the phone, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like just sit here and hold this interview forever? So
Yeah.
I released it, and they got all pissed off because they did it without their permission.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever. It
Yeah.
is what it is.
It is, man. But
What are you gonna do?
yeah. But,
But yeah, man, I
yeah.
hope you get your book finished. I look forward to reading it, and a lot of people out there probably want to read it. And do you mind if I put the link for your Facebook or any of that in the
Put
description
it
of
on
this
there.
video?
That's fine. Go ahead. That's fine. No problem. Yeah. So it's done. I'm just changing the names right now, changing all the names and stuff like that, and then it will be done within a month. See, I don't know how we're gonna publish it yet. How that's gonna happen. Trying to find a publisher. Um, but again, also I don't want to get burned on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's a lot of you got to be careful on how you publish books these days. So,
definitely.
I definitely worked hard on the book. It's definitely a good story. Um, and I hope it helps a few people. You know,
I mean, you could self-publish, or you
yeah,
can go with a publisher, right?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But a publisher, you pay a publisher to give you like $5,000, and then your rights are gone. Yeah, I mean that's from
Yeah,
what I
like
understand. I don't know. That's from what I heard. So
publishers. I heard that you pay like 5,000, and then
yeah,
they pay you your money back, and then you start getting once you recoup your money back, then you start getting a percentage of it.
yeah. We'll
I
have
don't
to
know
figure that out.
about
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I'm just working through it. I'm trying to get a bunch of followers on my Facebook page right now. So that's what I'm working on right now. And it's tough, man. It's a
yeah,
lot of
anything I could do to help, man. If I could help you sell books, I'll put the link in the description of this video, and
yeah.
whatever I could do, man.
That would be great, bro. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Definitely, man. And you want to give anyone else a shout out before we go, bro?
Um, just I just want to thank you for all the people that supported me through all this. They know who they are. I don't want to say their names, but I appreciate it, and that's about it.
Definitely, man. Thank you for joining me, Chris, man. I really appreciate you taking the time and telling your story. And I'll leave links in the description for his Facebook and all his social media. And check out his book when it gets out, man. Hit the
You're
like,
welcome.
subscribe, and notification bell so you could get my videos every time they drop. Till next time, man. Thanks, bro.